Nailed it.
I'm Bob.
I'm Jake.
We are
Nailed It, the podcast.
Welcome back, folks. Hope everyone's well and enjoying the soon-to-be warm weather.
The bipolar weather we've been
Yes.
having recently.
Yeah, well, it wasn't below zero this week, so let's keep our fingers crossed. Although the wind made it feel today like it was below zero, but that's neither here nor there.
This wind is being extremely disrespectful, and I don't appreciate it.
No, I don't care for it myself. So, what's been happening, sir?
I mean, it's been a month since we last got together. We got together on, or at least for the show, we got together on Super Bowl Sunday.
Right.
But music-wise, we took a month off. We
were off for a while.
I mean, you and I, we had our two Goose gigs.
Right.
One was
previous to the last episode, so
yeah. But we recently just had another one.
Right.
What was that? 2 weeks ago?
Roughly. Yeah.
So we had another Goose gig. Fun as always, celebrating Taylor's birthday.
Yep. Good times. Good times with the good peoples.
We also just had, or I say just, we had photos done with AMG Photography.
We sure did.
Shout out to Adrian with AMG Photography.
Which I saw Adrian last night.
I saw you guys took a picture.
Yep.
I forget if you posted that or if he posted that.
I did. Well, he may have, but I posted one as well.
Yeah. But we had photos with AMG Photography done. And then we made our triumphant returns as Ghostlight Radio Show. Where was that? Oh, at New Holland Legion.
New Holland Legion, yes.
Which was fun. It was extremely fun. Great turnout.
The place was packed. It was a good time. I mean,
responsive crowd. People were up and dancing from the very beginning.
In my experience with Ghostlight, in my time before you were in the band, I haven't had a bad show there.
Yeah.
That was one of my first gigs, and everyone we played there's always a crowd there. There's always a good time. So they're into music there, so that always makes it fun.
That was one of the first places I played at when I joined.
Yeah, when you were officially a member, I was probably your second, maybe third show tops.
Yeah. But people were even up dancing to sound check.
Yeah, the ladies that ran up were like, I didn't mean to burst your bubble there, ladies. But we're not quite on stage ready to go yet.
But like that right there kind of set the tone for the night of like, all right, these people came here to dance and to have a good time.
They sure did.
To see what we're about. I mean, there was people that were returning that knew what we were about, but they haven't seen this lineup.
Yeah, our current iteration, I guess I've been going into wondering if people are still going to show.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat disrespectful to my band, you and my other bandmates, to think that because some members changed that we would stop entertaining people.
Right.
But my thoughts on that rested on Andy and Doug leaving, being original members of the band.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we would lose a lot of people because they were gone that had been following them for so long.
Right.
And so I have not seen some faces as much since they left.
Right.
But I have seen those people at more than one show already. So I think my fears were just like anybody's. Things are changing, and is it going to change who comes to see us? And honestly, our shows have been great. And I was worried that month off after having this new lineup. Well, we put in 4 shows, 5 before we took a break.
Roughly, we had a couple,
and then we took a month off, and we don't get together or anything in between. So
yeah,
it could have been anything. But that show was amazing. But not to put that show aside, but the following Saturday, then on March 1st, we did a show at the Millersville VFW, which was a fundraising benefit for the Conestoga Fire Company. Shout out to Missy and those folks. They were awesome. So awesome, in fact, to get ahead of the story, they on the spot asked me to hold the date for next year.
Yeah.
Until they got approval, and by Monday morning I got an approval, or Tuesday.
That's awesome.
That they want us for next year. So we already have a show booked next March because they want us back for that thing.
Yeah.
They were very vocal on their social media, and sharing they took a video that shared, and I realized that they had taken a video of us doing our Beer Never Broke My Heart thing we do, and it's them taking probably halfway into the song or whatever, just a clip of us, but then they do the pan around everyone dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a 30-second clip. It's not that long,
right?
I saw them post that night, like as I was getting home, 11:30, whenever it is we got home. I got home and I went to bed. When I got up in the morning, I don't know, when I looked at my phone again, let's just say it was 8 hours later, maybe, if that, 6 hours, there was like 1,400 views of that video.
I saw
Now, I
that.
don't know what the metric is for that. I don't know how long you have to watch something to be considered a view,
Yeah.
but let's say it's even 10 seconds. Somebody stopped to at least watch that video enough to clock a view overnight.
Yeah.
So insane. They must have a lot of people that look at their Facebook page, but that place was packed
Yeah.
all night long
I was going to say, from start to finish, that place was full of people up and dancing, having a good time.
and going when we left.
Yeah.
Like we were there early. They opened the doors at 6. We played at 7. They had a DJ Peggy. She was awesome. That lady
She
was
was
awesome.
awesome.
And we were sound check, making sure we were sound check before they opened, and we were done probably 5:45 ish.
Yeah.
And they opened the doors at 10 of, and there must have been 30, 35 people come filing door at me like they were waiting. And then it just was nonstop. People getting,
Yeah.
they had to pull chairs out. They had tables set up on either side of the stage because they ran out of room. Like
Yeah.
it was awesome. I think, and everybody was into what we were doing, and we were having a good time. I think we played a really good show. We live streamed that whole show. In
Yeah.
fact, both those sets are available on Ghostlight Radio Show's Facebook page. If anybody wants to go back and watch the show, that was kind of neat. It's the first time we've done that, which we're going to try and do more of.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, I had a highlight for the show. For me was when they split the floor like it was Footloose.
Yeah.
And danced down the center. Everybody took turns, or Soul Train Awards or something. It was I've never seen that at an actual show of mine ever.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really neat that they were just kind of doing the dance off down the center. So
yeah, that was a cool experience to see people having that good of a time at our show.
Right.
Pardon me. But yeah, like start to finish, I thought we played really well. I thought, we were well received by everybody, and that I'm excited for next year. Like
Yeah.
when that rolls around again, I'm gonna be as excited as I am now.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a good time. And then, of course, after that, we're into this week now, and this is only a couple days after that. I mean, that was just last Saturday, although it feels like a lifetime.
It really does.
The reason I say that is because I did a couple things personally. Sunday we went and looked at a dog.
I heard that.
We did not pick up said dog. It's a sad little story, and I don't want to get into it. A woman who breeds had to have neck surgery and was unfortunately taking on that she had to rehome her actual dogs, not the ones she breeds.
Yeah.
Which were a couple years old. And I thought that was an awful thing, but I thought we can give that dog, we're Dachshund people, everybody knows that. We can give that dog, an adult dog, a home.
Yeah.
And we went over. She actually lives like 3 minutes from our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that close. I knew she was nearby, and we went and met the dog, and that poor dog was bonded with that woman.
Aww.
She was crying. The dog would not let her take her eyes off. Like, I can't, even in good conscience, I can't take this dog from you. If I was a absolute prick, I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
Like, so, and she tried to talk us into it, and then said, "Oh, take her home for the night." I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple days, or you figure something out. And then she was messaging. She showed us puppies, which one of them bonded, kind of not bonded fully, but immediately took to Jen, kind of like Jameson did.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh my!" I said, "If you want to buy a dog, we'll buy a dog." But we're busy musician adults, and being home with a 12-year-old puppy is probably not a good idea right now.
Right.
We didn't end up picking up a dog, and unfortunately, I saw this poor woman is still trying to rehome all 3 of her dogs, that her non-breeding dogs, and I feel for her because they're hurting her eyes, like letting her kids go, but
Yeah.
she can't physically keep after dogs. So anyway, so that happened, but we ended up hanging out with our bandmate Dave Z and our friends the Kilgores at Ye Old Hawks Club, and getting Dave signed up as a member, or at least I signed him in as his sponsor member or whatever.
Yeah.
Had some dinner and stuff, and boy, I got home and I think I caught the flu. I know you were sick over that time off there a little bit.
Yep.
I got the shakes. I was cold, then I was hot. My stomach felt terrible. I'm not sure if I had the flu, but I think I definitely either got food poisoning, or I had a stomach virus, because I got up in the morning. It was awful. I went to work for less than an hour, and I turn around, and I don't leave my day job ever.
Yeah.
I'm the boss. I have to set an example. I went in, I looked at them, said, "I'm going home," and I spent the day on the couch when I wasn't in the bathroom. Yep, there you
Yeah.
go. Too much information, guys. So I spent the last few days, actually, it took me a day or two to really recover up to the point where I had our buddy Matt Jameson ask me, he's been sick for a while. He messaged me Monday, can hey man, can you cover me at Falls Tuesday? My voice is still ripped up. I don't think I can play. I'm like, man, I don't know if I will be good enough physically to sing tomorrow night. Like, I don't know how I'm going to be. And I'm glad I told him no, because I still wasn't quite up to doing a show. I don't think I would have been able to get through a show very well, even for 2 hours. So,
Yeah.
but thankfully that led into Wednesday, and Wednesday, which was last night at this point, was the CPMAs.
Yep.
The Central PA Music Hall of Fame Awards, which, if you're a follower of the show, all three of you, you know that we were nominated again this year, our second time, two-time nominated.
Two-time award-nominated podcast.
Spoiler alert, we did not win. I'm not spoiling anything. We've been saying that for weeks. We weren't winning. But that was last evening. Now, Jake wasn't able to go to work and stuff. They moved it to the American Music Theater in Lancaster this year. It's been in Hershey for the last few years, and Hershey's in the middle of renovations. So they could not book the event, so they moved it. And I'll tell you, I was very impressed with the American Music Theater. I know lots of people have gone there. I've never been there before last night, and very well put together. They have, right down to the parking, they have everything put together really well. Beautiful venue, a lot more open for his amount of people. I can tell you, just from being in the theater watching the stuff, there's not a bad seat in that place to see the stage. So I'm sure if you're seeing a full show, it's amazing. So shout out to them. That was a fine choice for a replacement. I don't know if it'll stay there next year. There was I had heard some rumblings, and I could be talking out of turn here because obviously I didn't talk to anyone directly with the organization, that they're maybe trying to get to Santander.
Oh.
I don't know that. Me personally, I think that, I mean, you're going to Reading at that point.
Now, would it be do you think, not what you've said or what people have said to you, do you think they would have it at the theater, at the Santander Performing Arts Center?
They would have to keep the feel of the, local Grammys. You don't want it at the arena.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's even farther out of range for what you call Central PA Music Awards.
Yeah,
I really feel like it needs to stay in the Harrisburg, Hershey area to be centralized to. Now that I know, thanks to our good friend Dave Gates and his Solo Musician podcast, he recently had an interview with Brandon Valentine, who was the president of the CPMAs, the Hall of Fame. Now he's the event something. He's essentially, even he said, I gave myself a promotion so I can spend more time with the organization and not doing business. But he explained that their definition of central has become anything between Pittsburgh and Philly. They don't really use those metro areas and east-west to that.
Yeah.
It's basically top to bottom of the state, which explained a lot to me about all these artists we never heard of. We didn't know where they were coming from because we don't live in Wilkes-Barre. We don't live, halfway on the other side of Gettysburg. You know what I mean? We don't know. That's why we didn't know a lot of people. So it really answered some questions about how they find the people and come up with people, but that also informed me what they consider central Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
In our heads around here, I think we all think central PA is Harrisburg, Lancaster, York, maybe, not much above Dauphin County. Like, to us, we think, but we're actually South Central PA.
Yeah.
But in our heads, that's Central PA.
Right.
And that's not the case. So me personally, if it's something they can work out, go back to Hershey, whatever they need to do, I think that's a much better idea, local or centrally, for anyone coming from in the state to come to.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there were some people that probably came from, the northern parts of the state yesterday and had to drive all the way to Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
And never mind, because we do this on a Wednesday night, usually, because Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know if it was Wednesday last year, but definitely midweek, because most of the musicians have gigs. Yeah. That's why they don't do it on the weekend. Now there are people who are giving up days to come down because some people aren't going to drive all the way home. There's some business stuff to it, but if they can make it went pretty smooth. In fact, they were burning through stuff. Like, they were really getting stuff. There were some fairly short acceptance speeches, and like it was a well-oiled machine. And now our category was the pre-show awards. The doors opened at 5:00. We got there. There was a little pre-party thing, impromptu. A bunch of people stopped at the Lancaster Brewing Company tap room. That's literally like a quarter mile down
Up
the
the
road.
street, yeah.
So we had stopped in there. We saw a bunch of people. I'd met last year, and shout out to Metal AF Jewelry. I actually got to speak with him for a bit. Guys should check them out. Really cool stuff. But our friend Rachel Rocks, come rolling. And
Yep,
Rachel's the
I saw
ringleader of all these
Rachel.
things. She came in and we sat and ate for a bit, went over, but we got over there. Of course, ran in the door and immediately ran into most of our friends. Hot and Dangerous rolled up. Then we see Rich, our buddy, our good friend and bandmate Richard was there to accept his spot award for Twin Dix Guitars for Best Guitar Builder. Just people started. Brandon Reese, who is a member of Emily's Toy Box, also was up for an award for musical teacher.
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure if you've met Brandon before. Brandon's not only a hell of a dude and an amazing songwriter and musician, guitar player especially, but the dude's about as nerdy as we are.
Really?
Every
I
time,
think him and I are friends on Facebook.
every time Brandon and I get together, it defaults into, well, like the first thing he asked me after he said, how are you doing and what's going on? Did you go watch Cap? He's a hardcore DC guy. He's a Snyderverse guy, actually. His favorite Superman is Cavill, and that's somewhat sacrilegious because it's Christopher Reeve. But no, clearly it's Dean Cain. No, oh God,
Oh, God.
but
No, but see, what you're missing is the correct answer is Nicolas Cage.
no, it's, even Nicolas Cage doesn't think he's the best Superman. Actually, it's probably Tyler Hoechlin that was just on that show. But anyway, we're not here for that. So we filed in, and I went in for the award. I sent you a video. Now I can tell everyone here that's going to hear this that Jake probably had no surprise in him. We knew the outcome was not going to be in our favor.
Oh, yeah.
As they say, as old people like me say, and old people older than me say, snowball chance in hell that we were winning that award.
Absolutely.
And then I would have, had we won, I had this in my head. If we win, I'm going to walk up there and look and go, this is clearly a sham. Thanks. This is going to sit on my desk. And I would have left. I would have thanked you, my wife, for being there, and I would have walked away. It was never going to be ours. But I took a video while they announced it, and a screenshot of all the people were up for podcasts, and they announced the Solo Musician podcast, which is our friend Dave Gates. He's been on the podcast. We've both spoken to him on his. He was the one I've been saying, rallying for weeks now. If he doesn't win, there's something wrong with the system.
Absolutely.
He is. It's not just a bias of a professional or friendship relationship. He runs the best thing. He's moved on to video now this year, and like they're all video podcasts now. You can still listen to them, but they're all done on video. And he definitely deserved it. And I think he was a little shocked because he's been a fairly vocal person about how he thinks it works, and he got his answers a little bit when he talked to Brandon. But I think he didn't expect to win. He looked very, very surprised. So. And I didn't even get to talk to Dave very much. He was getting mobbed by his adoring fandom. Probably people were begging him to be on the show. Now he's a award winning. But yeah, so I mean, it was. And then from there on out, we floated in. We sat and watched Rich. They called Rich name. They did all the spot awards at once.
Yeah,
they put a slide up, and it
I
was
saw
everybody.
that.
And Richard tried to get up there to get his award, which for them is just a paper certificate. It's not a plaque.
Yeah.
Which he eventually had to get later. But yeah, so it was fine. Funny side story. Jen and I went and got our seats. We sit down. He's like, "Yeah, you're in this row, seat 5 and 6." And we sit down. We're like, "Cool. We're not that far in. It'll be nice to get up and out." And then I see people shuffling in next to me, and I'm like, "All right." I look over, and who are those 4 seats? Hot and Dangerous.
I saw. Yeah, Jen was telling me.
They, through sheer randomness, got the 4 seats next to us.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we were sitting next to people we knew.
Yeah.
So they were, of course, up for a best cover band. They did not win, but that's. It's an honor to be nominated. In fact, it was a night of people I didn't, and we can go through some of them then. It was a night of people that I didn't really know. And again, that's not my issue. Names I've heard, some well-deserved. Smooth Like Clyde won Best Cover Band.
Yep, I saw that.
Those guys are top-notch.
Phenomenal.
Although, I will say, to kind of go with that, the Downtown Sound Band won for Best Variety Dance Band.
Okay.
They are associated with there's another band that's in the management company that's part of that. There's another band called Central City Orchestra. I think you and I've talked about that.
Yeah, I've heard
the
the name.
singer of that band, who's also the co-CEO of their company, Robin Banks Entertainment.
Okay.
Katie Robinette. She is like one of the most talented people I've ever seen sing.
Yeah.
also a shrewd businesswoman and just an all around nice person. I was able to actually ran into her at the end of the night. We talked for a couple minutes. But they won for that dance variety band, Downtown Sound, which is a band that, like, I happened to catch her. She was holding the award while the singer was in the bathroom or something. And somebody's like, "Oh, nice award." She's like, I'm not even in that band. And I said, "Yeah, but they don't exist without you." And she goes, "I guess that's fair." Um, that's, I think, where I was going with that, besides giving them a shout out, and giving her a shout out. Smooth Like Clyde, I think, deserves to be in that grouping.
Yeah.
Smooth Like Clyde is much like, I don't think Ghostlight Radio Show is necessarily a cover band as much as we are a variety cover band.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's categories of cover bands, and the reason I brought that up, my wife and I discussed this on the way home. My heavy band, Fell From Zero,
Yes.
is 99.9% covers. We have
Yes.
3 originals that we don't even always play every show, and we barely play. Let's say we were nominated for best cover band, so now we're going to be up against Screaming Daisies and Smooth Like Clyde. We're a metal cover band. We don't. If you're going to break cover bands down, you have to. I think you have to spread that out.
Yeah.
Like, Fell From Zero doesn't deserve to be with Ghostlight, but Ghostlight should probably be in the same category as Screaming Daisies or Smooth Like Clyde.
Yeah.
Do I think we're as good as Smooth Like Clyde? I love our band. I think we do an awesome show. Those guys blow us out of the water. They are one of the best.
Oh, absolutely.
Best bands I've ever seen do that party dance variety stuff.
Yeah, when we saw
but
them,
they should also be in that dance variety category and not in the cover band category.
Smooth Like Clyde.
Yeah, I think they should be shifted, and that's something I know that the organization, again, through listening to that podcast, they are each year trying to figure out. That's why there's so many more categories this year.
Yes.
Because some categories had 3 people, then some had 12. They're just trying to figure out where everything goes.
Yeah.
And but I think there should be different categories of cover band if that's going to be the case.
Cover bands, tribute bands.
They do have tribute bands.
Yeah, I know they have a tribute band section.
Yeah, and we were snubbed this year. Next to Nothing was snubbed. It could be because we play once a year and that doesn't qualify enough. Whatever. I'm not bitter.
But like, even I would say the same thing for tribute bands. Is like, tribute bands should have, I would think, subcategories or subgenres.
Well, that tribute bands, I agree. As there's so many of them, that could get to that point. But they're also looking at tribute bands, I think, who have a kind of more a prolific schedule.
Okay.
So even if they broke it down, even it was, well, these are all tribute rock bands or hard rock bands, which is where Next to Nothing would go, and all these other bands we get to do shows with. First of all, a lot of the bands we play with aren't even from the area, so that takes that out. But you could break that down. But as right now, because of keeping it Central PA located, unfortunately, Shay Quinn's Man Who Sold the World band has to be lumped in with a CCR tribute or the Breaking Benjamin tribute, or because it's all local tribute. So there's work to be done. I think they need to fine tune the categories, but I think the cover band thing, it's weird because the CPMAs feels like it does feel like that local Grammys feel they want. And there was a lot of talk last night. One of the guys who won, the gentleman, I can't think of his name, and I'll have to look because I feel bad because I'd never heard of him before, but he got up there and said a pretty emotional speech when he won Songwriter of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
He'd only, it sounded like he only really started writing not that long ago, and his band also won for Band of the Year or Album of the Year.
Okay,
which makes sense. Songwriter of the Year won Album of the Year, but he made a point about how there was I believe it was him, about having basically this area seems to be having a death of ego between musicians. Like it's becoming more of a community, which is something Dave Gates talks about. Our friend Matt Jameson, Colin Alvarez, who I got to recently finally meet. Colin's an amazing vocalist and guitar player, goodness gracious, and a super nice guy. He also has a podcast, although he did tell me last time, hasn't sat down and recorded an episode in months, but he does have a podcast. I guess he does it less than we do. But they are pushing this community of people going to open mics and knowing each other and just sharing ideas and being in Facebook groups. And there was a gatekeeping for a long time with music in this area, especially cover versus original.
Yeah.
And there's still a little bit, once in a while, I still get some people like, oh, you're a cover band. Yeah, because I know I don't write songs well. Why would I torture people? Maybe that's my excuse. But it seems like that's a less and less thing, and that's cool. But also, the cover band category was thrown into the pre-show, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. It was in the pre-show awards, and it was just 12 bands who do covers. it went from the main event every year to it's
The
a pre-show
pre-show.
award now. So it feels like cover bands get swept under the rug
Yeah.
again. And I could be perceiving it wrong because I'm in a cover band. Our band was not nominated. Although I think I want to make an extra push next year to let them know we exist. Like we can't get on the ballot. There's no forcible way to get on the ballot, but the only way they know to look at a band because they can't see everybody. They don't know everybody.
Yeah.
The only way they can get a look at a band is when they open that thing up to people to not voting, but writing in, hey, who should be on the ballot?
Yeah.
That's the only way they can find somebody they may not know about.
Right.
And I think Ghostlight Radio Show has been around all these years, going on 12 years
12
now.
years, yep.
12 years in June, I believe, or May, since they officially started. That band has our band. I keep saying that band and those guys. It's us. I got to take ownership of what I'm doing. The band deserves some kind of recognition or something outside of just the shows. I am fine with just the shows, and I'm fine with people coming. And we have fans. Someone, I didn't get to tell you this, but I know you saw I changed our logo today.
To the
I
Pabst
put
logo.
up and that's a Pabst one I did in 5 minutes one day. I just thought it was good,
Yeah.
but I never really did anything. It wasn't polished enough. I didn't do the stickers like I do with all our pop culture logos. I was like, I wanted something different than looking at that Bush one all the time. I was like, I like to change things. We changed our cover photo because we got those amazing photos done. And I got a message while I was sitting here waiting for you to get here from someone to our page, a fan, someone who had messaged last time they contacted us was in 2022 about a show.
Okay.
Which was before I was even available to say I was available. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They redid it to look like the Pabst label.
Oh, really? Like did.
It looks
art?
so much nicer, and did it this afternoon. Apparently, after we changed that, and I said, "Oh my god, that's great. Can we use that?" I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." Get your phone there. Pull up our profile. It's our profile pic. I went in and changed it to that because it's nicer than the one I made. Because the one I made was just something real quick.
Yeah.
That I never fine tuned.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that's a legit.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's super cool, and I think that'll make a cool sticker too.
That would make an awesome sticker.
So t-shirts. Travis says he wants a trucker hat.
Of course he does.
But what's up, Trav? DJ Travis.
DJ
Travis. But that's the kind of fan base we have. So I don't need adulation. I don't think the band needs to be pat on the back by our fans.
Yes.
Or reverse that. We have fans that will tell us they enjoy us or won't. We that's all the base we need. But it would be nice in the peers world, not necessarily that we'd win, but that people understand how long the band's been around, and that we have every right to be up there as much as the Daisies or Smooth Like Clyde.
Absolutely.
So it's hopefully it's something we can look at next year. And also, this might be a bit of ego talking, but we keep talking about this our campground song, which has made progress, folks. Actually, I actually have the lyrics set. It's just a matter of us getting it recorded and put the correct music. But the we're almost out of time to have it ready for the season, buddy. So
yeah, I gotta really hunker down on it.
But it's weird because we're essentially writing a country song.
Yeah.
Which has it's kind of laid out already, so it shouldn't be terribly hard. It's just adding stuff in.
It's just
and
the fact of actually laying tracks down.
And you have to do the instrumentation, so it's not like I can help you there unless I really get better at playing guitar in a week. I'll just play drums. It's fine. I'm super good at that. But I almost think that stuff like that gets me going, makes me want to write. And I've talked to the boys in Fell From Zero about trying to actual studio the songs.
Yeah.
They weren't like 100% against it. In fact, my guitar player Don was like, "Dude, I'm just doing this for fun anymore. I'm an old man. Like, I'm not interested in going in the studio. If you want to retrack them, go ahead. I have my blessing. But what we have is what we have."
Right.
I've considered seeing if some of the guys want to retrack those and actually studio them, and having something to put out. I'd like to have some original music out in the world that isn't necessarily going to make it to the awards or people are going to hear it like through that. But also, I have no dog in that fight.
Right.
I watch those guys up there giving speeches, talking about how they love music and they love that they can share their feelings with people and stuff like that. And I don't. What am I going to get there and say? I love singing top 40, and I do. I love entertaining people. That's why I do covers.
Right.
I don't do it for me as much as I do it for people having fun with it. If there's no one there, it's no fun.
Exactly.
Whereas when you're an original band, if no one shows up, you still do your set because it may not be fun, but you're there to do your thing and build your brand, so to speak. Whereas that's not, you don't have to do that with cover bands.
Yeah.
You build your brand eventually if you stick around long enough, but at the end of the day, you got to play stuff people know and have enjoy it. It's the same thing when we sit down and play as a duo or solos. You're a live jukebox.
Exactly.
You can get away with playing a song you want once in a while. That's why we throw in Beartooth and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
although to be fair, our last show someone asked for Beartooth.
This is true.
I'm not even sure we would have played Beartooth that night. We were just going
I
off
forgot about
whatever.
that. Beartooth
And they're like,
was a
"You guys can
request.
play Beartooth?" I'm like, yes, we
Yes, we
can.
can.
Which one? So I there's some things I'd like to do, and I think, and I'm dovetailing this conversation into something for you because you write consistently.
Yes.
That's something I think you should get recognized for too, or Listexia songs or something. But I don't know where they have to end up for them to be noticed.
Right.
I know you have to release them within the calendar year of the show up to like I think mid-December they look at stuff. So maybe it's a push. I don't know. It's something we're going to look into. It's something that I'm going to do as a management guy.
Yeah.
I don't use my booking company, my management company for anything but my personal stuff, and to try and promote my friends who do their own solo things. And if that's how I got to get involved, maybe I can help you push your stuff
Yeah.
or something we do together. Who knows where this fun campground song could turn into us just writing random stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if for me, you do it when you get the bug and you write stuff. I do it every 10 years because I get the bug because I don't have anything around me making me creatively jump to it.
Right.
We had spoken about writing something for my sister. And in the moment, in the immediate moment when she passed, I thought this is something we need to do.
Right.
Other people have done it. She has friends up there that did. We talked about last episode. I think no.
Yeah.
Well, the song was out, I believe. She hadn't passed when we made our for those of you who have been. I think everybody listening to this podcast knows us and knows us. My sister did pass away on February 12th. She's done fighting cancer and it's done hurting her, and I'm okay with it. And that's I made my peace with it, and that's where we're going to be. So I got asked that a lot last night, and I very much appreciate everybody asked me, and I told them that. I know it doesn't look like I'm upset, and I guess I am internally, but I can't. She had a better life than I've even tried to have, and she was younger than me. So, but not to get on that subject, I don't want to get too deep into that. That's something for me to do personally one night on a video. There are songs in the moment I thought I want to write this song. I had some lyrics started, and you kind of sent over a rough idea of a song. That would end up being country because that's what she liked, and it just feels like that's what you write.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe we'll finish that one day. I don't know if we need to. I kind of moved to the point where who am I doing that for? At the end of the day, I was doing it for me anyway, I guess, or us.
Yeah.
I mean, you and Patty got along quite well. But is it so everybody can hear that I had something nice to say about my sister? I don't need. She didn't get to hear it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm in a weird crossroads of who's that for.
Right.
So maybe
I
it'll
get
get
that.
finished someday. Maybe it won't. But that doesn't mean the other original music can't follow. It's something I want to maybe pursue a little harder this year just to see. I guess I got the bug for me at the awards.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, I need some inspiration somewhere. So, but
I will say, like, similar situation, like, because I never knew what the criteria was for having a song, like an original song, nominated for song of the year. Not and this is not to say any of my songs would ever match up to a song of the year from any other artist, but I this was yesterday. I think it was yesterday that just in shuffle two of my original songs, because I'm vain like that and put my own songs in my shuffles.
you
But
gotta hear your stuff. Get your spins.
yeah, two of my songs came up, and I was like, you know what, I am proud of these songs. Like my last original, like under my solo project, what my last song Cyber Shadows came up, and then the previous track Echoes came on, and I was like, you know what, these songs to me I was pretty proud of. And how would I go about getting them, on the ballot? But yeah, obviously now this season, quote unquote, has passed.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm very curious and would like to at least make the attempt of writing something that could be nominated for something.
Right. Well, and that's the time. It's just early March. We have many months on that front to even, get considered or get it to where it needs to be. I mean, the end of that is not about. It sounds like, man, I just want to get an award. I want people to. I want
Right.
optics on it.
Oh yeah,
It's not.
I'm not reaching for an award, but I would like for people to be like, yeah,
Yeah,
Jake writes songs.
yeah, no, and but also, I guess at the end of the day, the real thing there is you want people to hear it, and if the secondary thing is that the people at the award show hear it or recognize it, that's to me that'd be the secondary thing.
Yeah.
But I can't ever have any of that, whether it's validation or not. And I guess maybe it is. I can't have any of that if I don't write things for people to hear in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think maybe this will light a fire under me a little bit. I mean, I'm less than 24 hours from last night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the end of the night. At this point, we were 2 hours after I found out we didn't win. Oh no. Um,
uh but yeah, no, like you said, we still got time for this. Was it like the time frame?
right, right. Plenty of time. I mean, literally almost a whole year, or two
Yeah.
thirds of a year, let's say, to have something. We'll see.
Yeah, and like I've got so many unfinished songs that are revisited old songs from old bands that never went anywhere, and new originals that I sat down at my desk and just played a riff,
Right,
started writing. So who knows? Who knows what this year could hold for myself, for you, for the both of us together,
right.
in the world of original music.
And if not, we still got Ghostlight cranking out, show after show after show, having the good times, letting the good times roll. I always have music around me. It's
Oh,
just a matter.
absolutely.
But
I
it'd be
did.
nice to have my music or our music, and not, hey, we did this thing by someone else.
Yeah, I did say recently. I was talking to my older brother that just once, and maybe this year, maybe this year I can make it happen, but just once, I would like to get a project together that does my original music, like the Cyber Shadows, Echoes, Land of False Paradise, and all those that I did, just to play them live, because it's different. Like with Lisdexia, the one song we play, I'm Not All Right, that was one that I wrote, which is cool, but it's one of those different. I don't know if it's like a selfish thing or what it would be to be like, no, this is a song that I wrote from start to finish. I sing on this, I play on this, and I
Right.
want people to hear what
No,
I
that's
wrote. If
that's
that makes sense.
that's creativity. You want people to hear the work you put in. It's not. I mean, look, there's an inherent ego in being a songwriter, being a musician. Whether people act like there is or isn't, you have to have some sort of ego, or you're not. What do you? I don't even know. Even if it's not overblown, you have to have some belief in your own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that is at its core ego.
Yeah.
It can be a good thing that you're into what you're doing, but it. I mean, I've seen it be a bad thing too. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do that. You should want to do that. I've said for a long time, I wish I was a better guitar player to just, before I got into Ghostlight, I'd considered finding a band that was just looking for a mediocre rhythm player
Right.
to do some backups just so I could get better.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, oh, you don't want to do that because you won't be the singer, you won't be intro. I'm like, I've proven that wrong now that we changed Ghostlight.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy being able to not be on the mic every song
Oh yeah.
and play um so I mean, I wish I could be that guy, like, you know what, Jake, that's a good idea. Count me in.
Yeah.
You don't want me playing your original stuff. I'm not that good. Unless you want some chunky acoustic guitar the whole time. You don't want, well, I don't know. I can hide behind an electric. Distort that shit up. Nobody can hear me playing bad.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we'll run you into a heavy patch.
it's funny. I actually I ran into the guy who gave me the only guitar lessons I ever had, like that I went to a studio. And when I was taking vocal lessons from my old bandmate and member of Emily's 12 Box, Rick Leinard, I did get a couple guitar lessons, but I wasn't really trying to actively play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing with him, and then it was lessons on the fly, like just it was early on. This is when I started getting lessons with Rod Goals, who has his own studio. He works out of School of Rock, I believe now, or he might have his own studio. He was at Campbell Music back then. The funny thing, it came up my Facebook memories today. Today was the first day I went to lessons 11 years ago.
Oh, really?
And it's funny, I ran into Rod last night. I hadn't seen him in a long time. and we got to chat, and then he's like, yeah, it's never too late to learn stuff. I was like, it wouldn't hurt me to try and stop self-teaching my things and maybe hit a lesson or two. It would make me a better guitar player and maybe songwriter. And that's something I got, again, a little inspired. I seem to be inspired by Dave Gates a lot. He recently went back. He's going to Colin Alvarez to learn stuff. And now I saw David open mic last week. I'll get to that too. I want to talk about that separately. Like noodling a solo while they were just jamming on like Pink Floyd or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
a year ago he wasn't soloing. He was just kind of doing some scale type. Like he's figuring out stuff, but he's a machine when it comes to learning things. I just thought, what a weird, ironic timing that I run into Rod. We had this discussion. He's like, yeah, I'm always got time, I was like, maybe I'll reach out to you if I ever have time.
Right.
For me, it's a time thing. And then I get my Facebook memories today, and there it is, 11 years ago today. I was going that night to my first lesson, which I ended up having 3 lessons, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started taking regular gigs on the only night of the week because of work, I could go to lessons. Rick and I started booking an every Thursday gig at the Waterway for like their happy hour thing. And I was like, I can't come to lessons anymore. It's the only day I'm off work early enough. Back then I couldn't make my own schedule. So I stopped going, and I've been self-taught since, which is pretty obvious. You watch some videos. Ghostlight has made it so I can play and at least get some stuff done. But I that would also be something to look into, I guess, to make everything, all these dreams I came up with last night, maybe playing guitar, better guitar will make me a better songwriter. Maybe it'll make me more confident in writing stuff. Who knows? I don't know what tomorrow brings, but no one does. I mean, so that's why, and maybe the stuff with my sister and the things that have gone on lately, just losses in general in the last year or so. You get that mortality sense, and there really isn't anything promised. Like, we're not promised tomorrow. I get that. Whether you're a believer in faith or just destiny or fate or whatever, I don't know where I land, and I'm not trying to alienate people. I've never been much of a church guy. Maybe I might be. I like to think there's a path everybody's on. I don't think every moment of our lives is determined. I don't think fate's a thing where it's like, and tomorrow Jake and Bob are going to talk about fate on the podcast at this time of the day.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's how it works, but I personally believe there's places we're supposed to get to, but they're all based on the choices we make, mistakes or otherwise. And maybe the choices I make today will get me to where I want to be with music tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But you can't start the discussion or do the thing if you don't try. So there we are. Do or do not. There's no try. I brought Star Wars into it. Yeah.
Nerd.
Yes, I am. So I got way off. We were talking about CPMAs and people and music, and I went into full Bob tangent mode, all musical, of course.
I will say, as you were saying, like, you opened your memories and saw it was the anniversary of your first lessons. I had a very similar situation that I just shared recently.
Your first show?
Yeah.
I saw that.
It was 12 years ago.
Like the baby.
This past February, I played my very first show, or I played guitar for the first time live. Because I had sang in front of crowds before,
right, but not
prior.
Not like that.
Yeah. This was the first time I ever played guitar in front of a crowd. This was at the Downtown Lounge. I know we've talked about this story.
Ye old Downtown Lounge.
Where I wasn't old enough to be there, but because I was with the band, they let me in. Because at this point, 12 years ago, I was 14.
14, 15, yeah.
Yeah, I was 14 going on 15. And hopped in and played... first time I ever played Sharp Dressed Man, which we now still play to this day.
To this, and now it is in our set list because the classics are classics. But anyway,
but yeah, I think that was just kind of funny because
funny timing. Yeah,
funny timing that you just had your first lesson, and I had just had my first live performance, and then I shared the picture, the side by side of 14-year-old me at the Downtown Lounge versus now, 150 pounds heavier and bearded Jake playing. That was at Patty's event.
I think 150 pounds is being a bit excessive on yourself, but I mean, you were probably $150 then, so you're not a 300-pound man.
No, I'm not.
But you feel that way some days. I get
some
you.
Days.
Yeah. It just kind of shows the journey we go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for Facebook to remind us.
And it really made me think of how how many different places music's taken me personally, and you as well. Like all the different places we've gotten to play, and we've talked about it on previous episodes. With some of the venues we've played at,
Right.
just some of the random ones that I remember off the top of my head: Johns Hopkins University, Touch of Texas in Binghamton, um, the umpteen million bars in this area that we've
Right.
played at. It it's always something different. Like I've played in movie theaters. I've
Me too, actually.
really,
Well, you played in like the lobby of a movie theater, right?
yeah, I played in the lobby of a movie
I
theater.
played it in what used to be a theater, which was converted into a club. But I played on a stage where the screens would be. So,
Okay, well, so this was in the same theater. I've technically played there twice. We were actually scheduled to play there. It was the opening night for Force Awakens.
oh,
I think I know it was a Star Wars movie.
$1 billion movie. Anyway,
It was one of those. It was Force Awakens or whatever Star Wars
don't
movie it was.
don't just finish your story.
um, and that's it was what it was, whatever. But then uh after that, or no, it was before this. Um, the band I was in, it was my first band, Shoes to Fill, uh, who later became the Split Pistols. I know if you talk to our friend Marshall, he's got their sticker on his cup.
He does.
Um, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. We wanted to record our first EP, and we didn't have money to book a studio, and we couldn't record at at anybody's house. We couldn't get good acoustics anywhere.
Right.
And this is before recording technology or at home recording technology was what it is now. So thankfully our drummer, guitarist, bassist, and vocalist at the time, they all worked at that movie theater, and we essentially snuck into that theater after hours, after all the movies had let out, and we set up each theater as a sound room for each of us. And we set the drums up in the big theater. Myself and the other guitarists and the bassist, we were all in one room with our cabs in another
Nice.
room.
Nice.
Which was, it was super neat to do that kind of stuff. And then we did another theater for vocals. And it got, I think it got pretty good. I'll have to play it for you sometime. But it was neat to have that kind of experience. It's one of those things you see in like one of those documentary or biopics of bands and
Right.
stuff.
Trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and cables running all over the floor, going into a tiny 5-channel mixer that we had, having to do everything one take at a time for drums, like
Right.
how you normally would, but not as
Not as cleanly as you can now.
not
yeah.
as professional as
Right,
it should, as it could be now.
Right.
But circling back to with the original stuff that I've been doing, that band Shoes to Fill, we have that EP, and we've got this 5 or 6 songs that we never did anything with. And as a band, you write collaboratively, and it's, you kind of hear the influences of everybody, which is again something that I like doing at times. That's why I do Listexia. I like being able to write with everybody.
Right.
But
right,
also
right.
the songs that I did write with Shoes to Fill, I heard in a very different way.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that because of the influences in the band, you guys didn't quite come together with. It didn't come together what you heard.
Yeah, and so that's also what I've been doing, is I've been taking all these old songs and revitalizing them and rewriting them in a way that I wanted them to be heard. So that's why they are a lot heavier in my takes of them.
Well, that's because your style and your taste has become heavier. That happens.
That too.
Things evolve.
Yeah.
I not listen to, but I'm more open to country style stuff now than I ever was.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know. It's just because I'm around more of it. It's not as awful as I thought. Yeah, but I mean, I get that. I mean, to revisit stuff and find a more modern spin on what you do, That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to touch on. I mentioned earlier. I went to an open mic, which are
Yeah.
popping up a lot lately, and part of this I think is coming from that community feel again.
Mm-hmm.
Got your Colin Alvarez and your Dave Gateses, your Matt Jamesons doing these things in areas around us, mostly north of us. But I see some popping up in York. My friend Ben Garner just did one recently with his dad. Uh, I hadn't been to an open mic. I figured it was like 15 or more years. Turns out it was about 12 years because the original band name Nailed It was See You Next Friday
Yep.
when it was just me and Ken and BJ. And we had actually gone up to, uh, there was one of the Bourbon Street pub things they had as part of the Hardware Bar initiative. They had one up there off of Colonial Park near the mall.
Okay.
And actually, Hot and Dangerous's first drummer, Jason, was running it. He worked at Guitar Center. He'd go down there at night and set it up. And he kept trying to get people. I said, guys, let's go up. Ken, take you. At the time, he didn't have a cajon. He had like a big conga.
Yeah.
Let's go up. Let's play a couple songs. So that's been that long since I did ever. And then we did one at Burning Bridge. We were trying to get in there, and the staff was like, "Oh, you guys come back every week." I'm like, "We'll come back as a show." I think we did that twice. I'm like, "We're not going to come in here for 3 songs a week and hope the guy lets us book," which he never did. Thanks, Steve. Um, but I hadn't been to one since it was probably 12 years.
Yeah.
So I went up to Blue Sky Tavern up in Edders. Years ago, it was called the Field House. When we lived, Jen and I lived in Edders, we could have walked there. We used to go there like almost every Wednesday for wings. They had really great beers, still do. Just a cool little place.
Yeah.
But I'd started to see our friend Matt Jameson runs that one there. And he keeps telling these stories about how it's getting bigger and bigger and all these people show up, all ages, young kids, their families. I'm like, Jen and I weren't really doing anything last Wednesday. I said, you know what? Let's go up there. So I looked. Sure enough, Matt's off. He was sick. But I saw Dave and Colin were hosting it for him.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just go up and sit back. We'll get some food or something or drinks, whatever. We'll sit and get the lay of it. I just want to see what this is like. Well, I got there and there was quite a lot of people. It was packed. The place was packed. A couple young guys got up and played. A young kid, probably, I don't know. I'm going to guess he was maybe 11. Played
Really?
STP and Nirvana and like it was all grunge stuff.
Yeah.
Just played and sang it. Green Day, like it was just a cool. Everybody's clapping. He must have felt like $1,000,000. Like, um, and when I got there, Colin was playing a song, and that's actually the first time I heard him play live. Like, geez, my God, the man's good. There was a lot of local guys I keep hearing. The guys from Crash and Cross. Crash was there, who I've now run into like 3 times since then at the awards. All these guys I keep seeing doing all these shows because there's a lot more seems duo and single guys lately.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of good musicians. I'm like, cool. I'm just sitting there, and I didn't bring my guitar. I was not there for anything but to take it in, like see if there's something I would do on a regular basis. And of course, Dave's like, "You're gonna get up and sing." I'm like, I didn't come here for that, man. I don't know." And in the meantime, I see him open up a guitar case to show Colin he got a new Breedlove,
Oh,
which of course,
there it is.
and this thing is gorgeous. It's a mahogany, no, not mahogany, myrtle wood, all myrtle wood guitar.
Yeah.
And Dave's like, that was my first one, and I sold it, and I regret selling that one because I never got one that sounded good. He goes, I got a good deal. It was from someone's wife who is a musician and doesn't play it anymore. So one of the local guys. So he's like, I bought it. He goes, I haven't even played it. It's the first time I had it out. I was like, well, if I can use your guitar, if you want me to do something, I'll do something. First of all, that guitar sounded awesome. It played as good as ours do. I don't know exactly what model it was. Beautiful finish. Like the neck was awesome. Anyway, and I got up and did a couple songs, and I have video of it. My wife videoed them all. I put them up. I hadn't intended to play, and I was the last guy before they did a 3-man jam of a Floyd song before they back. By the time I went up, there was 10 people in the bar. Like there was nobody left. It wasn't but it was such a cool feeling. And then I got to talk to the guys for a while and stuff, and I thought I might start doing that on a regular if I have something. Not it's close by. I know it sounds convenient, but it's not far from here. It's 15 minutes from here, and I think that's a really cool thing. Like it was nice to get out and see like kids with their families getting up to play, and I just think it's something people should do more of. And maybe I'll start looking for more. Maybe I'll just start promoting ones I'm not even at. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what it'll bring? But that was a really cool time, and I really wanted to bring up that that's something I look forward to doing again.
Yeah. I definitely want to go with at some point. I know we talked about
Right.
going within the next few weeks. But yeah, I can't even tell you the last time I did an open mic. I think, yeah, it had to be back when I was. Oh no. I remember what. over in Lebanon, Scott Church's place
Oh
used
yeah.
to do it. They used to do it on Thursday nights, and I would swing out every so often, play 3-4 songs, and go home. It wasn't anything huge, but it was fun to just kind of go up, do a little something, and leave. There was
Right.
no stress. You go in, 3-4 songs in your head, and then you're done.
It's a good thing. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to try and be as good about keeping our podcast not being 7-hour ordeals anymore.
Yes.
So I think we've hit some good topics. Try and keep these short and sweet in an hour-ish or so. I don't think we have much to promote. We have a show this weekend in Wrightsville at the Burning Bridge Tavern from 8 to 11. Y'all are welcome to come out. There's, of course, shows later in the month, but we'll the next one up that I doubt we'll get to record again would be we are playing at the Marietta Legion March 15th. From 6 to 9 p.m. It'll be their St. Patty's Day party. That's a really good time. You have not played there yet
No,
with
I have
us.
not.
In fact, the last time we played there, you couldn't make it. It's when you first joined. You already had a gig.
Yep.
So really cool place, and we have a Goose gig coming at the end of the month, but nothing too crazy. So, and I'm hoping that we can keep to our own word and get back on the mics here before the end of the month, get another episode out. But
Yeah.
I don't have anything personally to promote other than that or talk about. We kind of covered it all day. Unless you have something quick.
Uh, actually, what the only thing I can think of that I haven't talked about recently, that I announced, can't remember. There is a second printing of Mr. Melody coming.
Yes.
Of the second printing of issue 1. Issue 2 is still in the writing process, because myself and my co-writer, Mark, who is my older brother, we just finished Necroman number 4, which is my brother's story.
Right.
Um, so now that is done, we're shifting gears over to Mr. Melody for issue number 2. But while that's in the process, we are reprinting issue 1 with a different color. For those who have seen the book or have the book, you know that the cover is black, white, and red. This next one is going to be black, white, and midnight green in celebration of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl as a Philly fan.
There you
But yeah, other than that, that's the only other announcement I have.
And of course,
more music.
Keep on our socials if you guys are following us. We do have a TikTok we don't use enough. You can get us if anybody wants to email us, you can get us at nailedatthepod@gmail.com. Of course, we have a YouTube we're running now. Also, Nailed at the Pod or Nailed at the Podcast.
I think it's Nailed at the Podcast.
Nailed at the Podcast on YouTube, where we uploaded all the videos we've ever done, good or bad or unedited. They're up there.
Yep.
And of course, our Facebook is Nailed at the Podcast. You can also check us out at ghostlightradioshow.com or denmothermusic.com. And of course, you can find Ghostlight on the socials as well, TikTok, Instagram. The Instagram, folks. Our original Instagram somehow got lost to one of the old members of the band years ago, and nobody knows how to get into it. So if you look up Ghostlight Radio Show on Instagram, a page does appear with band stuff, but you want to look for Ghostlight Radio Show PA from now on. That's where you'll find the current stuff for Instagram. And, of course, please hit the website because there's a link to our store there. I'd love to see some merch out there. I know some people pick some of the stuff up. It's great. And that previously mentioned Pabst logo might end up on a T-shirt on there before the end of the week. Always like to have new stuff. And you can, of course, you can find me on the interwebs at Pickle Shot Bob, or on Twitters and stuff. I don't use the Twitter anymore. I'm a Blue Sky and Threads guy, but Instagram. But I don't post as much as I used to. But if you know me, you know that. So. But other than that, come check out the bands. And through Den Mother Music, you'll find any of the projects we're in as well, for the most part, or links to get to us to get to those projects. Next to Nothing, Fell From Zero. Fell From Zero has a show coming up this month. If you guys want to come to Maryland and see us, we'll be at Antietam Brewing this month. So nothing much more going on. Just hit us up on there. And, hey, if you guys got any things you want us to talk about, again, guests you want to have on, we have some guests in mind, people we talked to. I talked to a few people last night. I don't want to bring it up yet until we can finalize. And I think we're going to start doing some Q&A stuff when we have these guests on that we're going to let, and I'm stealing this idea directly, not just from Dave Gates, but from other podcasts I heard. I'm going to let our users and our listeners give us some ideas of what to ask some of these guests. So we'll start pushing that a little more once we get a guest schedule going on. And also, folks, don't forget, if we don't talk to you before the end of this wonderful March month, it's Craft Haven season, baby. We're almost back, and there is going to be if not a live episode, a recorded episode at that campground this season.
Yes.
At least one. So, but with that, I got nothing else about you.
I'm good.
All right. So once again, and as always, I am Bob.
And I am Jake.
And we have been Nailed It the podcast. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Nailed it.